Hey everybody, welcome to my suburban oasis. My name is Soleil and I garden in a zone 6A in mid-Michigan, and I hope everyone had a wonderful 4th of July. I know we enjoyed spending some time outside, and today is our time to walk around the garden and take a tour and look and see what's going on, and things are really happy, so let's take a look. We'll just start over here in the potager garden, which is doing super swell. We have some things that I had potted up. I dug up our gold euonymus and put it in these pots over here so that the rabbit would not eat them, and we could grow them on a little bit further. We have some nice alyssum here, and our strawberry Sunday hydrangea over here is starting to bloom, and everything's just looking real lush. We've got some tomatoes that are starting to form up really good. I'll show you this. We've got quite a few tomatoes, so I'm thrilled about that. We have lots of alyssum. It's self-seeded in a lot of places. Here's my little spirea bush that's growing on really great. This was just from a little cutting that I had. Well, over here in the lady garden, we have lots of blooms on our daisy. It is bright white and beautiful. And our pink mink clematis over here is doing great still, so just a lot of bloom power in that. I highly recommend that as a clematis. It's probably the longest blooming one I think that I have, and it's really wonderful to have at this time of summer. So here we have our pinky winky hydrangea and our lady with the Ken Beauty oregano starting to bloom. So that whole bed is looking pretty nice right now, very fresh, and we're getting some buds on the little hydrangeas that are back in there as well. We're starting to get some blooms on our coralberry bushes over here. They're very small and tiny, but the pollinators love them. And that's what ends up creating those beautiful little pink berries that you get. The half moon garden is so beautiful right now. I just feel like the addition of the Incredibles along with the privet hedge and the Tien Shan 7 sun trees, those are really the highlights for me, and I feel like they just set it off so lovely, and there's something about it that just feels right to me. And I've really enjoyed the geraniums that I've planted between the two lounge chairs in here. They definitely bring a nice focal point in. And you can see our planters are doing great. Here are our planters that have just been going steady and really filling out now with that magenta petunia. And there you can see the beautiful blooms on the geraniums that are here, and I have not had any problems with them. Even though they're in a shallow bowl, they really don't need a lot of water, so it's a pretty good place for them. And you can see that our hibiscus are just huge. It's amazing how fast they grow. But these are still probably about a foot less than they were last year, which is interesting because we've had a very wet spring, so I thought that they would be, even bigger. Can you see how the light is coming through right now, the fence? That is one of the things that I absolutely love about this new fence, is just the shadow play that it provides and the light play that it provides. It's almost stained glass-esque, and it's just gorgeous. I mean, it doesn't get a whole lot better than that, does it? With those gorgeous smooth hydrangeas and the Buddha, and the sunshine. That's just so lovely. Well, the pink diamond hydrangea over here actually is starting to get some color on it. We've had a couple of cool nights up until now, and so you can see the beautiful pink that is starting to form on that, and I can see why they call it pink diamonds. Such a beautiful addition to the garden. I added that just recently, and I love it. We actually are getting some more new growth on this Scarlet O'Hara Pieris, which is crazy. I thought it was done growing, but it's definitely happy in its spot. This happened last year, and I thought it was just an anomaly because it was getting settled in and getting its roots established, but nope, I guess it likes to grow more in the summer. So coming around the corner, you can see just how amazing of a view this is as you begin to come into the woodland. And I did some research on the hydrangeas, the oak leaf hydrangeas, and they are supposed to bloom on new wood, this variety of jet stream. So it's possible we could still get blooms this year, but I haven't seen any buds forming on them yet. These Schubertii are still looking great, so I'm not going to clip them until they really start to open up their seed heads and turn brown. Right now I'm just going to enjoy them as they are. We have had lots of blooms on the hostas. I've been coming through actually and cutting some of them back because the pollinators have just gone to town on them, and as a result they are starting to look a little bit bedraggled. And so because we have a garden tour coming through soon, I'm just going to make sure that those are cleaned up beforehand. But everything's looking great in the woodland garden. The striptease hostas are big. I probably need to divide those this year just to ensure that I still have room for other things, because they're really kind of taking over this garden bed at this point. So you can see both the oak leaf hydrangea as well as the smooth hydrangea here as we walk down the path. And the Virginia is looking amazing as an edger. So again, on this oak leaf hydrangea, maybe we'll get some blooms, but I'm still not seeing any buds at this point, so maybe we'll get really late blooms. I thought it bloomed on old wood, but when I looked it up, it said new wood also, so we'll see. Time will tell. Our little hottie hydrangeas haven't bloomed yet, but you can definitely tell that they are on their way. These are some of the later ones to bloom, and they're right next to a bloom-struck hydrangea. I'll just kind of back up here to give you guys a little bit more of a view of the garden layout overall, because I think it's really pretty how we have a tie-in from the gold edger hosta that's in front here, which is a very small hosta, to the August moon hosta that are back in the back there. And then we carry that through with some of the Hokona chloe grass that is a different texture, as well as the even smaller leaves of the cordial canary bugleweed there, or a juga. This hosta is looking very, very beautiful. It's like a bouquet in and of itself. And we have some first frost hostas next to it, and another little hottie hydrangea that's getting ready to open soon. And I have to say that the ferns are doing really well this year. I did move one of them. These are the Japanese tassel ferns that I just adore because of the texture of the leaves, how shiny they are, and the fact that they kind of give this spiral effect as they grow. But they are so wonderful. And then over here, our Let's Dance Can Do. I'm just going to put my hand up to this bloom so you can see how big it is. So it's probably 2 hands of mine. That is an amazing size bloom and is just gorgeous. So this one is doing the best of any of the ones that I have planted. Maybe because it's in a more protected area, I'm not sure. The mosquitoes are kind of bad tonight, so I'm probably not going to take you guys in the way back garden again, because they'll be much worse back there because of how much shade there is back there and how much there is for them to hide in. And sorry about the garden cart. I know it's kind of in the way here. Been doing a lot of cutting back and weeding. But the hosta garden bed is looking amazing still. Very, very full. And you can see over here the firelight hydrangea. This firelight hydrangea usually is a little later to bloom. So it's kind of strange the order that the hydrangeas are blooming in this year, but very beautiful nonetheless. And all of the pieris are looking so healthy this year, and I hope they stay that way. Last year we definitely ended up having, you know, some minor spotting on the leaves and that kind of thing, but they seem much happier this year, and I think they're actually going to put on another spurt of growth here. These are again the Valley Rose pieris, so as a result these grow a little bit differently from the Scarlet O'Hara one. And I don't know if you recall, but this Fothergilla was eaten like almost all the way down to the ground, just to nubs, by rabbits or groundhog or something. And it has sprung back, and so I'm thrilled because it will give such wonderful fall color in the garden. Well, over here in this side, we now have some beautiful daylilies that are blooming, and I'm going to have to try really hard to keep my shadow out. So why don't we go around here, take a peek at the pots, which are also looking amazing right now, and then we will look back at the daylilies that are definitely facing the sun right now. So these pots have really put on some amazing growth. They have just thrived, and I'm so happy with the effect that they have over here, really just coloring up this edge of the garden. And then down here you can see now the lilies growing. So pretty. The daisies are having a moment where parts of them are kind of dying, and I think it's from the voles. I literally see the voles right now wandering around my garden during the daytime on top of the soil, which is not normal. I've never ever seen that in my life ever before. But look at this, you guys. We have the beautiful butterfly bush, and you can see the buds now that I was telling you about. I can't wait. This one's going to be amazing this year. This is actually, I think we have 4 in this area of the Pugster Blue. So that's going to be so beautiful when they start to bloom. And boy, I just am really happy right now with how things are looking for July. Here we have one of our arborvitae topiaries. I keep just kind of pruning little tiny bits on it, and it really has filled in quite a lot since the last time that we came through. So I've just been really pleased with how well these have turned out and continue to grow on. So easy to do too. So the long border is looking quite good. Lots of new growth, and you can see the hydrangeas are really starting to put on a presence in the garden now. We have new growth on the limoncello barberries, and we are just getting to the end of our blooms on our heucheras, so I have started cutting those back, but in their place we're starting to see the bloom buds on these Pure Joy sedums, which are a beautiful color, and they're kind of all along the bottom of this bed, along with that blue sedum, which I think is dazzleberry sedum. Do you see the bunny down there just eating my alliums? He's like, oh, she saw me. Look at this combination right here. I think this is just stunning with the 9-bark and the lemon cypress and the strawberry Sunday hydrangea. Oh, I just love the contrast there. So pretty. I'm going to come over here and I'm going to turn on the fountain so that we can hear it while we're walking around. Let me do that real quick. You can look at the hydrangeas while I do it. It's so nice to hear the sound of the fountain while we're out here. While we're over here, let me just show you how good everything is looking here. Definitely the heucheras died back in the middle of these pots. They could not tolerate the sun. I think they were the toffee tart or something like that. So I don't recommend those for sun. They definitely are more of a shade heuchera. But fortunately the alyssum is just going to town, and beautiful purple. This is, I think, Violet Night, and so that has really filled in and looks lovely. Our dwarf pine tree is growing strong and happy, and I'm just loving it, and I can't wait to find a spot for it in the garden. But for now it's going to stay here until the fall, when I can plant it out and feel like confident. This is so lovely. Isn't this Florist hydrangea beautiful? It just keeps blooming. I mean, I thought there was a number of blooms on it, but it is amazing. It is so floriferous. I can't believe it. It's like just the purples and the hues of blue and pink are gorgeous. These hydrangeas are awesome right now. They are amazing. and you definitely can enjoy this view too. All right, well, let's head out into the front garden and take a peek out there. Well, here we are in the side garden, and our Liatris hedge is still going strong in the sunlight, and it looks so beautiful, doesn't it? It's just a stunner. So it's probably a good halfway open right now, and I am just really enjoying it. I hope you guys are as well. Look at that in the sunlight, it's all aglow. And up above that is the PG hydrangea that you're seeing there, which is also really beautiful and full this year. Well, taking a look over here in this front garden bed, I cannot believe how amazing it is with the coneflowers now. We're starting to get a lot more color. Everything's really filling in with the summer blooms now that we're in July. Getting a lot more opening of the coneflowers. And the growth on the grass has been great as well. This garden bed is looking really good. I still am planning to take out these viburnums this fall. So I'm going to be cutting down both of these because of the viburnum beetle. You can see even after we had some really nice new growth, we've gotten lots of damage on the leaves, and I know they're there. In fact, I can show you one right now. Do you see? Oh, he just flew away. They're like these little brown striped beetles. And yeah, unfortunately there's not much you can do about it, so I'm gonna get rid of those because otherwise I'll be fighting it for the rest of my life, and I don't want to do that. We'll find something else that's more beautiful even. Well, this garden bed is starting to look like a bouquet of flowers as well, isn't it? Just look at that. Isn't that lovely? You see it like smiling at you right now. It's so fluffy. The orange barberry is getting quite large. I'm probably going to trim some off of the sides when we get to the spring next year or early winter. But right now we're just going to enjoy the fullness of this garden bed with the bobo hydrangeas on either side and the blooms starting to form on the sedum autumn joy with that Liatris in the middle, and of course the oak leaf hydrangea. And we'll just zoom in a little bit here. You can see the allium heads starting to form among the powwow pink echinacea, and some more of those allium schubertii seed heads. Well, we'll just take a peek down here at all of this gorgeous Veronica. This is the magic show ever after. So we're still having amazing bloom on those, as well as our daisies over here. And these daisies are backed by some cute little fluffy bobo hydrangeas. So we've got those again as well back here. And I moved two this year, one right here and one right here, just to make it even more full. I might have to move those eventually, but it just depends on how strong these will grow underneath of this tree. I'm worried with the root competition they won't get as big as they normally do. So yeah, everything's looking great in this garden bed. I mean, lots of color to look at and just so beautiful. I've done a little bit of work on the front area here just to try to make it look a little bit more cohesive. And so I brought a large black pot up from the back that I had that matched the other two square pots. And then I took the ferns that I got at Cottage Gardens the other day, and I planted those into the black pots, and I think it looks a lot more kind of lush. I repainted the urn down here and put a giant fern in that, as well as painted the table that is on the front porch. So again, I feel like everything's getting a little lighter, a little bit more welcoming, a little bit more fresh in this area. We're starting to see some blooms open on the Cape Lookout hydrangea here, but we still have a ways to go for sure. And our moss garden is looking really pretty back here. Just nice and fluffy. Kind of like everything else right now. Everything just feels kind of fluffy right now. This is a firelight hydrangea, looking gorgeous. This is just its second year in the garden, with the can-do hydrangea back there as well. And I moved some gold edger hostas right up front here, just to kind of help fill in that area around the drain pipe. And I think that makes it look a lot fuller and helps draw your eye back down along the edge, just to kind of continue that gold edge along the front of the rock border. And I did come through and spray this last week, but I still managed to have a deer kind of walk right up as we were sitting inside and take some bites out of this hosta. So that's unfortunate. I'll have to come out and spray some more again. And I did some digging over here. I removed some additional gold edge hostas here, and then I planted our beautiful white pine on this edge. And the reason why I did that, the dwarf Niagara Falls white pine here, is because we have that beautiful blue tone that is going on in this garden bed. And so I thought I would just continue to carry through with that, using another texture and form with that color. So I think it turned out really pretty. Let me know what you think. Over here in our new garden bed, things are looking pretty good. The catch fly is still there. Nothing's pulled it up or eaten it down to its nubs, but I probably just jinxed myself. We're getting some new growth on some of the begonias that have been eaten, but other than that, we're definitely missing some of them. But it still looks good. I'm enjoying how much the purple fountain grass is already starting to fill out here. Well, this side garden bed is really starting to take on more personality as we get more colors along the edge here. And I think this might be a dark horse weigela. It could be spilled wine. I'm not really sure, but it's doing pretty good this year. It's actually put on quite a bit of growth, and so I'm thrilled with that. And our limelight that we just planted last year has some nice buds on it, so that should bloom this year. And then we have that acanthus back here with its gorgeous spiny blooms. Look at those spikes. And the orange rocket barberry back here is doing really, really well since that tree was taken down from the neighbors. It's getting so much more sun, so we actually get that extra color pop down here, which was definitely needed. I am going to have to come through here and do some more trimming on the low growth sumac. You can see it's kind of growing into the barberries over here as well as up against the house. So it's really just kind of taken off this year. And I'm not opposed to pruning that at this time of year because it is such a vigorous plant, if you will. So it's not going to be hurt or harmed in any way if I prune it right now. Our viburnum is doing really good. It put on some nice new growth this year, a little bit more height. So next year will be its third year, so I'm hoping that it will put on even more next year and that we'll get some really good blooms on it. Well, our hypericum is also adding some color now. We're finally starting to get a little bit more pop from those blooms of yellow. They kind of have a hint of orange in them as well. But they look pretty cool next to that barberry. I really do need to move that barberry, though. It's getting engulfed by the hypericum. I need to wait, though, on that until it's a little bit cooler. And we have our Nephofia plant blooming down here, our one and only. Beautiful orange one. I don't know what this is called. I cannot recall. I thought it was dead, but clearly it's not. And maybe we'll get some more blooms next year poking out from under this spirea. This is the fire gold spirea, by the way, which I think is a really beautiful plant. And over here, I still need to come through and cut back the Johnson's blue geraniums because they are definitely taking over the garden bed and looking a little messy. So we got to get rid of those before the garden tour comes through. And I'll probably end up having to cut back the blooms on these hostas as well as clean up the last of the daffodil foliage in this garden bed. And then finally, the boxwoods that are in this garden bed are looking really good, but they definitely need a trim up. So they are happy in their space, but I need to prune them back and make them look real nice and tidy. So once we get those things done, next week we'll probably see a really nice, clean, tidy bed over here. Well, thanks everybody. I appreciate you joining me in the garden today. I hope your day in the garden is going well and it's not too hot and that you had a really good 4th again. It's a wonderful time of year to celebrate. We'll see you next time.